prison now. This is it.
This place is run by a gang.
My advice to you is do what they say, because they've got their own code of conduct that we have no control over.
Ever wondered what happens when wealth meets incarceration? Forget orange jumpsuits and metal trays. For the right price, an elite few live like kings behind bars with gold-plated cell phones, private chefs, and even saunas. Today, we're diving into the mind-blowing world of hidden luxury items found in prisons, where corruption meets opulence in the most unexpected places. Prison contraband has undergone a dramatic transformation over the past 2 decades. Back in the early 2000s, smuggled items were mostly basic: cigarettes, homemade weapons, maybe a flip phone. But today, we're talking about a sophisticated underground market worth billions. Crazy, right? In America's prisons, even basic items can be considered luxury. Inmates spend up to $1,200 annually on commissary items, where simple necessities like decent shampoo or pain relievers cost 4 days' worth of prison wages. Think about that. What you grab at the drugstore without thinking twice becomes a luxury when you're earning pennies per hour. But that's nothing compared to the real luxury contraband market. Cell phones are the crown jewels of prison contraband, with a basic smartphone that costs $50 on the outside selling for over $1,000 inside prison walls. And we're not talking about regular phones. These are custom-modified devices with specialized features to avoid detection. The prison black market operates on the same principles as any luxury market, explains former corrections officer James Wilkins. Scarcity drives up prices, and status symbols become even more important when you've lost everything else. If you think American prison contraband is shocking, wait until you see what happens in Mexico's cartel-controlled facilities. In 2016, authorities raided Topo Chico prison in Monterrey and discovered what they called luxury cells that would make a boutique hotel jealous. Inside these cells, high-ranking cartel members enjoyed private saunas, mini bars stocked with premium liquor, and aquariums filled with exotic fish. Some cells even featured induction stovetops, where inmates could prepare gourmet meals using ingredients smuggled in by corrupted guards. That's right. While most prisoners eat whatever slop is served in the cafeteria, these guys were cooking up gourmet meals in their cells. But the most jaw-dropping find? A cell belonging to a cartel leader that contained a rainfall shower with imported Italian marble, a California king mattress, and a collection of designer suits hanging in a custom-built cedar closet. This cell wasn't just nicer than regular prison cells. It was nicer than most people's apartments on the outside. These aren't just conveniences, says security analyst Maria Gonzalez. These luxury items represent power. When a cartel leader can transform a prison cell into a luxury apartment, it sends a message about who's really in control. And if you think that's insane, check this out. Authorities also discovered high-tech command centers where cartel leaders continued running their operations from behind bars. Virtual reality headsets allowed them to visit locations outside, while encrypted communication devices kept them connected to their organizations. These guys weren't just living in luxury, they were running multi-million-dollar businesses from behind bars. But Mexico isn't the only place where money talks in prison. In Indonesia, prison luxury operates almost as an official policy. At Pondok Bambu Prison, wealthy inmates don't just smuggle in luxury items. They essentially purchase upgraded accommodations through systematic bribery. For around $35,000, that's more than some people's annual salary. Elite prisoners can buy cells equipped with air conditioning, private bathrooms, refrigerators, and entertainment systems. Some cells even feature private kitchens where inmates can prepare their own meals instead of eating prison food. The most shocking aspect? Some wealthy prisoners have been caught hiring other inmates as personal servants. Yes, you heard that right. These assistant inmates clean cells, prepare meals, and even provide massage services for their more privileged counterparts. It's basically creating a luxury hotel experience inside a prison. It's essentially a caste system behind bars, explains Indonesian prison reform advocate Siti Rahman. Money doesn't just buy comfort, it buys dignity and autonomy that other prisoners are systematically denied. Beauty treatments have become particularly popular among wealthy female inmates. Prison officials have been caught allowing professional beauticians to enter the facility to provide services ranging from haircuts to full spa treatments. In one notorious case, a former government official was discovered receiving weekly manicures and facials in her private cell. Can you imagine getting a spa day while serving time? But here's where things get really interesting. Not all prison luxury comes from corruption. In countries like Norway, Austria, and Germany, what Americans might consider luxury is actually built into the prison design as part of rehabilitation philosophy. At Austria's Justice Center, Leoben, inmates enjoy private cells with floor-to-ceiling windows, kitchenettes, and private bathrooms. The facility includes basketball courts, fully equipped gyms, and communal areas designed by award-winning architects. This place looks more like a college dorm than what most people think of as a prison. Norway's Bastøy prison takes this concept even further. Located on a picturesque island, inmates live in cottages, work on the prison's farm, and can enjoy activities like fishing, tennis, and horseback riding. They have access to beaches where they can sunbathe during summer months. I'm not kidding. This prison is nicer than most vacation spots I've been to. The difference is philosophical, explains criminologist Dr. Emma Larson. These European systems view comfortable conditions not as luxury, but as a basic requirement for successful rehabilitation. The punishment is the loss of freedom, not the conditions of confinement. This stark contrast highlights how cultural attitudes toward incarceration shape what's considered luxury. Items that would be contraband in American prisons, like olive oil for cooking or personal clothing, are standard issue in many European facilities. Technology has revolutionized prison contraband, creating entirely new categories of luxury items. Drones now regularly drop packages into prison yards, bypassing traditional security measures and enabling a more sophisticated smuggling operation. It's like Amazon Prime delivery, but for contraband. The most coveted tech contraband? Custom-built gaming systems. In 2021, prison officials in California confiscated a PlayStation that had been modified to serve as both a gaming console and a communication device. The system, worth approximately $5,000 on the prison black market, allowed inmates to communicate with the outside world through encrypted messages hidden within game-save files. Talk about next-level hacking. In Ohio, inmates took technology smuggling to another level by building their own computers from stolen parts. They hid these custom-built PCs in the ceiling of a training room and connected them to the prison's network. Before being discovered, inmates used these computers for identity theft, credit card fraud, and even to control other contraband operations within the facility. These guys weren't just breaking prison rules. They were running a full-blown cybercrime operation from behind bars. Prison technology smuggling has become increasingly sophisticated, says cybersecurity expert Marcus Chen. We're seeing innovations that would be impressive in Silicon Valley, let alone in a maximum security facility. But perhaps the most valuable luxury in prison isn't a physical item at all. It's privacy. In overcrowded facilities where personal space is non-existent, the ability to secure a private area becomes the ultimate status symbol. In Brazil's notoriously overcrowded prisons, wealthy inmates have been caught paying for exclusive cells, areas separated from the general population by makeshift walls. These private spaces allow inmates to escape the constant surveillance and chaos of prison life, creating a psychological luxury that's often more valuable than material goods. Some high-profile prisoners have even managed to secure entire prison wings for themselves. In 2019, authorities discovered that a business executive convicted of fraud had effectively purchased an entire section of a São Paulo prison, converting it into a private apartment complete with a home office where he continued to run his business operations. Imagine having an entire wing of a prison to yourself. That's like having a penthouse in a building where everyone else is crammed into studio apartments. So how do all these luxury items get into prisons in the first place? The methods are as diverse as the items themselves, and some are incredibly creative. Drones have become increasingly common, with sophisticated operations using thermal imaging to identify guard patterns before making drops. In Texas, authorities intercepted a drone carrying a package containing designer watches, premium tobacco, and high-end headphones. It's like something straight out of a spy movie. Legal mail presents another vulnerability, with smugglers using increasingly sophisticated methods to hide contraband. Documents soaked in synthetic drugs, hollowed-out legal books containing electronics, and even fake attorney credentials have all been used to bypass security. But the most concerning method? Staff corruption. A 2023 Department of Justice report found that staff corruption was involved in over 60% of major contraband incidents. From maintenance workers to medical personnel, anyone with access to the facility becomes a potential smuggling vector. The ingenuity is remarkable, admits former prison warden Robert Thompson. For every security measure we implement, inmates and their outside connections find two ways around it. When you combine desperation with resources, the results are astonishing. As detection technology improves, so do smuggling methods. The latest trend? Clear electronics specifically designed for prison use. These see-through devices, from typewriters to MP3 players, are technically allowed in many facilities, but represent a luxury few inmates can afford. The prison luxury market shows no signs of slowing down, with American inmates spending an estimated $750 million annually on electronics alone. The financial incentives for smuggling premium goods remain strong. Meanwhile, the philosophical divide between punishment-focused and rehabilitation-focused systems continues to widen. What's considered contraband luxury in one country might be standard issue in another, raising profound questions about the purpose of incarceration itself. Beyond the shocking images of cartel bosses in private saunas or government officials receiving spa treatments behind bars, prison luxury reveals deeper truths about our justice systems. When wealth can transform punishment into privilege, the very concept of equal justice comes into question. For every inmate enjoying premium contraband, thousands more struggle to afford basic necessities. This stark inequality doesn't just exist between the free world and prison, it reproduces itself behind bars, creating parallel experiences of incarceration defined almost entirely by access to resources. The next time you think about prison life, remember, for some those cells are anything but bare. Behind the concrete and steel exists a hidden world where luxury hasn't been locked out. It's just been transformed. If you enjoyed this glimpse into these hidden luxuries, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos exploring the extraordinary lifestyles of the rich, powerful, and occasionally imprisoned.